Okay, so everybody's been frustrated with this gear problem. So I wanted to do something that is similar but not the same as what's in your practice test. So this is another gear problem that's very similar, but there's some differences. And it's similar to something that's in the book, but again, not the same as what's in the book. So I won't get in trouble for solving textbook problems online. So here we've got three gears, A, B, and C. We have the weights of each gear. Keep in mind, a lot of the equations we use mass, not weight. So be very careful with unit conversions here if you're given pounds, but kilograms, you don't have to worry about anything. We're given dimensions, so the actual radius of the gear, and we're also given the radius of gyration. And remember the radius of gyration, this is what you use to calculate your moment of inertia from. So we have everything we need about the gears. And what we have is there's a moment that is applied, in this case, to the middle gear. So imagine like a motor or something is hooked up to gear B, and this is going to be the force to get the entire system moving. Okay, so this red moment, this red, you could think of it like an R cross F, is pushing everything around. So in the end, gear B is going to be going clockwise, which is a negative moment. Remember, clockwise is negative, counterclockwise is positive. So B is going to be moving clockwise, and it's going to be fighting against A and C. They will be moving in the opposite direction. So C will be going counterclockwise, and A will also be going counterclockwise. So that's the first thing to do, is think about the motion and how the rotation of A, B, and C are related to one another. So this is going to be a combination of using kinematics and kinetics. So remember, kinematics, this is like from chapter 11, where you relate the motion of one thing to the other thing. And we relate the motion by where they touch one another. So where the gears come together, it's not slipping. One gear is not slipping on the other. So the tangential acceleration is the same for adjacent gears. So right here between A and B, those gears are both moving up. And right here between B and C, these gears are both moving down. So we have that tangential acceleration is equal to R alpha. And we can look at the rotation of A. R alpha is related to the rotation of B. So in this case, 4 inches alpha. So study these kinematic relationships and kind of convince yourself of how all these angular accelerations are related to one another. So depending on how these radiuses are, that's going to be the relative angular accelerations of the gears A, B, and C. And we know which direction they're going to be rotating in and where the moment. Okay, so this is 2 of the equations. How many unknowns do we have here? So we need to know the angular acceleration of the gears. To know one gear is to know all of them. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3 unknowns, theta A, theta B, and theta C. And then we also need to know the forces between the gears. So that would be another 2 unknowns if we're going to solve for the forces as well. So if we have 3 angular accelerations and 2 forces, we're going to end up with 5 unknowns for this problem, which means we need 5 different relationships to solve for it. So here's 2 of those relationships we're getting through kinematics. The rest of the relationships we'll get through kinetics. Kinetics, I want you to take yourself back to statics class. In statics, we added forces together, we added moments together. And what's the difference between statics and dynamics? Okay, so dynamics, we're still adding forces together, adding moments together, drawing free body diagrams. The difference is everything is lopsided and not balanced. So the forces don't add to 0, the forces add to whichever way it's accelerating. And likewise, the moments don't add to 0, they add to the I alpha, inertia times the angular acceleration. Okay, so let's start just like statics. Draw a free body diagram. And in this case, we're going to want to take the moment around the center. If we don't take the moment around the center, there's actually forces on the center of this little pin holding the gear in place. And we don't want to have to mess with trying to figure out extra forces that are going on in the centers of these gears. That would be a bunch more unknowns to have to deal with. We could solve for it, but it would be a few more equations, right? So if we take the moment around the center, then the only force we have to worry about is the force between the gears. This is one of the things the problem asked for, was that force between the gears. Now, these are going to happen in equal and opposite pairs. So B pushing on A and A pushing on B. We're going to take just one gear and consider the force acting on that one gear, and then think about what direction of a moment that is creating. So remember, this is a cross product. It's not just multiplication. We're looking at, is it spinning counterclockwise or is it spinning clockwise? So here we go. If we're considering B on A, and remember, B is the gear that has the motor on it. So B is pushing against everything else. So B is trying to get A to move in a counterclockwise direction. So B is pushing up on A, and this is creating a counterclockwise or positive moment. Okay, so when I add my moments together, I'm going to worry about the sign of my moment. But on the other side, for I alpha, I'm always going to write I alpha in the positive direction. And it'll drop out mathematically whether that alpha is going to be positive or negative or not. So I'm just going to make the right-hand side positive, and the alpha, the sign for alpha will drop out of it. And the moments, this is where I'm really going to worry about the sign. So I have a positive moment acting on it. And in this case, it falls out fairly obviously that we're going to get a positive counterclockwise I alpha because of this moment. Okay, so here we have gear B. We're going to isolate gear B and look at all of the forces happening on this. So this is a gear that has the moment applied, and the moment, you just add that right in. So instead of R cross F and R cross F, we're going to add that it's already force times a distance. So pound, inch. Make sure everything is in inches or in feet. Give yourself the same units for everything. So here we have the moment, and which direction are the forces happening? So the moment is going clockwise or negative, and the other two gears do not want to move. They're going to fight rotating. So while B is trying to move clockwise, the other two are going to be fighting against that rotation, going against the grain. So it's the motor versus these other two gears that don't want to move. So I'm going to make sure that the signs on this are the opposite. The hardest part about these types of problems are keeping your signs correct. So think about team clockwise and team counterclockwise. What is the driving force that's trying to make everything move, and then everything else is going to fight against being moved? So an object at rest wants to stay at rest. A and C do not want to move. They are going to fight against B. And rather than trying to figure out is FAB positive or negative and having two equal and opposite forces in here, I'm just going to assign the signs on my moment balance here based on which way those forces are trying to rotate the object. So in this case, the forces are trying to rotate the object counterclockwise or positive, and they're fighting against this moment. And again, on the right-hand side for I alpha, I'm always going to make this positive. Even though this guy is rotating in the negative direction, I'm going to write the equation in the positive direction. And when I solve these 5 equations, 5 unknowns, alpha will come out negative, and this term will come out going in the right direction, going in the negative clockwise direction. Okay, so that's the other kind of tricky part. So I'm only worrying about which direction the moment is going, and the sign for which way B is accelerating. This will fall out of solving all of those equations and unknowns. So there's the middle gear, and then last but not least, let's look at gear C. So C only has one external force. We have B is pushing against C, right? So this red arrow is pushing down on C. It's trying to get C to move. And this is the force that will create that counterclockwise positive rotation for C. So we have the radius of C and then the force at the edge between gears B and C. This is our R cross F, and the moment is not adding to zero like statics. This R cross F is now creating an angular acceleration. So instead of forces adding to MA, we have moments adding to I alpha. So the unbalanced moment is creating an angular acceleration that will create motion in C. Okay, so that is our 5 equations, 5 unknowns. If you don't have Mathematica, you can crank through this at hand. I will let you use any kind of math software you want. So Maple, Octave, MATLAB, whatever you want, use it or just solve it by hand. But these are the 5 equations. So we have 2 equations here for kinematics relating the tangential accelerations. So this is purely from geometry and looking at where they touch, they have the same tangential acceleration. Tangential is R times alpha. And then these last 3 equations that we're solving, these all came from force balances on each individual gear. So you can carve these problems up however you want. We're going to look at just the forces on gear A. This is the moment, R cross F on gear A, the moment on gear B, and the moment on gear C. And then plugging into this, we have to make sure of our units here. So like to calculate our inertias, it's not weight times R squared, it's M times the radius of gyration squared. And pounds is weight, it's not mass. So we have to take all of that information we were given, divide by 32.2, make sure we actually have a mass here and not a weight. And then if we're going to use 32.2 feet per second squared, then everything has to be in feet. So that means we're changing all of our radius of gyrations to feet. And we're going to calculate our inertias in terms of feet. Our moment is in terms of feet, all of our radiuses. So we have to convert everything to the right units. I think I gave you kilograms, and keep it in meters, not millimeters, but really check through all of your units on this. And then it's 5 equations, 5 unknowns. When you're done solving this thing, plug in your numbers back into these and make sure the signs make sense. So clockwise is negative, B should be negative, so we get this negative angular acceleration for B. A and C should be positive, so we have these positive A and C's coming out. And then the forces, don't worry about the sign, there's equal and opposite forces happening between each of the gears. And we've set that equation up so that we're just worried about which direction the moment is going. So not worried about plus or minus forces between it. We're worried about plus or minus moments between the gears. Okay, hope that helped. And good luck on the practice and the exam. Use the discussion forum to share your thoughts on that and draw free body diagrams. That's one of the most important things for this. Draw free body diagrams. That's where you're going to see what direction everything is trying to turn in for this one.